YouTube, people of the internet, how is everybody doing? Welcome to another Osiris Invitational cast. I am Gecko Gaming and I will be joined today by Dragothian Gaming as we cast HKL against NcB coming up in about 3 minutes. These are the top 4 teams of each realm going at each other, and this is week 2, our first match of the day. As of right now, Realm of Horus is leading the charge with 3 wins against the 1 of the Realm of Anubis. Later today, we will also have another cast for the JWM versus 411K match coming up in about 2 hours. So right after this cast, you definitely want to go take a quick break, get yourself something to eat, grab some popcorn for the second match right there in 2 hours, because that match is going to be crazy. It's the number 1 alliance in the realm of Anubis against the number 2 of JWM. But for now, the kings of the realm of Horus are going up against NcB. NcB being from Kingdom 331, two alliances from that kingdom making it into this event. Let's go take a quick peek at the match. As we wait for it to fire up, I believe we can go take a quick peek right here and see the power of both of these alliances. A 3 billion power alliance from Kingdom 30 going up against a 2.7 billion power alliance from 331. These guys are stacked and ready to go. They've had a very long journey in the Osiris Invitational, and man, what can be said about these teams? These are teams that went up, first of all, last week against some of the toughest opponents in the game, but they had such a tremendous run in their Osiris Osiris League? Osiris Invitational? Osiris League? Anyway, you get my point. These are 2 teams that are going to come in to try to score a point for their side, because at this point, Realm of Horus are way in the lead, and to win this event, all that the Realm of Horus needs is 9 points. That is right. The first to 9 essentially wins this event, and at the rate this is going on, the Realm of Anubis are definitely going to want to clutch a few victories to drag this for a 4th and final match. For now, HKL, the champions of the Realm of Horus, as you can see right here, defeated JWM in the final and had a JWM 2 run as well against us in the semifinals. And they went through some very big teams, BBTH, 1008, and many, many more, K9T, GoGT, RX, which are XLG1. Some of the bigger teams in this realm went through these players, and so did NcB. NcB really went through some substantial teams, VNFV, TDM. I mean, heck, NcB went down to their comrades, FN, who are right up here playing in this event as well. So this is going to be a super fun match for us to watch. In about a minute it starts, and in the comments right now, let us know, what do you guys think about this match? Who is going to win? Hashtag NcB or hashtag HKL? Which team will make it to the next stage? I mean, technically everybody's making it to the next stage, right? But who is going to score either a red or a blue dot on this part of the table? Let's see what you guys got for us in the chat. Let's go take a quick peek. Hashtag NcB or hashtag HKL. Tiny Rick going with hashtag HKL. We got a couple of HKLs. Ooh, damn. And then all of a sudden, it starts flooding with the HKL support. Looks like we have a very, very strong support for the one side. But hey, you never know. NcB might come out very strong. And we're about to find out. 5 seconds away. Let's get out of the event. Last time we had to do this. Make sure we can get in. And then, ooh, Mysterious Merchant. Get distracted just like that. Let's get in here, see that what we got is going on and everything is good, and then call Dragothian onto the scene, because he's going to be leading us into this match. Let's go really quickly take a peek. Are we in a good shape? I think we are. Let's click on this and yeah, get into the match. Hello?
To the first of this weekend's matches. Like Gecko said, this is Dragothian here, and we are going to be live casting this HKL versus NcB matchup. This is going to be one where I know that it looks like a heavy landslide in the chat. This is why we play the game, though. NcB has been in this situation before against heavyweights and come out on top. So I'm looking forward to seeing if NcB has adjusted their strategy, with HKL being probably one of the front runners in this Osiris Invitational to help carry the Realm of Horus to the championship. So again, I think that ultimately HKL has a lot of great strategies that we've seen over the last few weeks. NcB, again, having another set of good strategies. I'm looking to see how they clash in the middle at the Ark of Osiris. I'm looking to see how the rallies start populating right off the bat. I'm interested to see if there's adjustments to be made against HKL, because I'm honestly looking for the first alliance to really start to write the book on how to fight HKL. Because right now, Gecko, I'm sure you can probably attest to this, they look unstoppable.
Oh yeah, the thing that we've been mentioning about HKL for so long now is that they've broken the barrier, a psychological barrier that very few have managed to do, or really nobody's been able to do it yet, which is aggression over everything. They don't care about their own buildings, quite frankly. They've said this more than once, and we see it again and again in their gameplay. They care about being aggressive. They care about taking the enemy's buildings. They care about bringing you down psychologically. And when they do that, they also bring you down physically in the match as well. It's a really tough situation to find yourself in against these guys. And I think that the answer to who will beat HKL first and start writing the book on beating HKL first is the team that's going to be able to get past the psychological break of we must defend our buildings at all cost, or we must get our buildings back at all cost. What do you think, Dragothian?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a little bit of Tiger Woods factor here. I think everybody kind of agree with that. HKL is really not new to the scene because they did do really well in season 1, but they weren't nearly as effective and unstoppable as they were last season in season 2 of Osiris League. And looking at what they do, really just kind of breaking down their strategy as we start to go into this match here with a couple seconds left, they are super ultra aggressive. You just mentioned it. They don't really talk about saving buildings. Like, their buildings are key, and they want to make sure that they keep them as much as possible, but not at all costs. The main focus that I've seen HKL use time and time again is constant and total pressure on all forward buildings of their opponent.
Yes, sir. And looking really quickly at HKL's first marches coming out, we saw a ton of fast cavs going out to capture the first buildings early on. Gatherers already on their way out as well, and even a tier 1 rally being made here by one of the HKL members. I'm looking at right now, we're seeing a few gatherers, a lot of marches out on the field. Let's go take a quick peek at the other side, see what NcB is cooking. They also have their gatherers marching out, some fast cavs, although on this side it seems like it's a light fast cav march, although definitely there are a couple more. I see 3 going to the one side and probably a couple more to the other way. It looks like everybody is hitting the gates running. They're literally sending everything out. Gatherers are out already. Infantry all over the place, cavalry all over the place. I'm seeing even a few marches that are more of archer marches out of NcB. I did not see that many archer marches from the folks of HKL early on, which they're very, very known for, as they like the march speed on them a bit more. Rallies coming out from everywhere, 8 rallies in the beginning like we expect out of these teams, 2 on their own obelisk and 2 on the enemy's obelisk. Buildings being taken already, Dragothian, a slight advantage for the folks in blue, but really, it's not that big of a deal yet, right?
No, not at all. Those outposts, they are critical, but if there's a few seconds delay on either side, it's fine. What I did notice was both of those obelisks turn their respective colors almost simultaneously, which means, again, to me, NcB is on their game. They're ready to go. If they're matching up nicely with HKL, that means they're definitely on the ball. Now, something that we saw earlier on at the front of the base for NcB, there was one particular player there that had max marches of siege. And to me, that means, again, provisioning is going to be a heavy player inside this game for NcB. They're going to be making sure they can get every point they possibly can to try and take down HKL. HKL is probably looking to do the same. And then also, again, all these rallies, of course, on both sides. That's your standard opener, 4-4 on both sides. The question is, do they decide to break, or do they decide to go ahead and attack the obelisks? Everything looks pretty even up on both sides, Gecko. What do you think the next strategy is going to be for HKL as they move forward on the map this time?
Well, for NcB, they dropped 1 rally, right? HKL still marching with all 4 or 5 rally, all their 4 rallies. Are they going to break? I think so. I think we're going to see very early on, and we're already seeing it unfold, is a massive push and presence towards the Shrine of War as well as to NcB's Desert Altar. Interestingly enough, this rally is moving super fast. They're probably going to break nearby the red Desert Altar and try to first occupy it and just hold on to it. This is a strategy we've seen them employ time and time again, trying to get that Desert Altar, stick an Takeda in it, and just cause as much damage as humanly possible. Maybe even get the first occupation bonus. In case you've never watched Ark of Osiris before, when you occupy a building for the first time, you score 750 points. 750 points if you hold on to the building for 3 minutes or more. From that being said, a rally does indeed break next to the Desert Altar. The marches are nearby, and so does NcB. They do break the rally on the defensive side rather than on the offensive side. Again, we're looking at this psychological game where a rally was just disbanded as a defensive rally for the folks in NcB, while HKL disbanded a rally on the offensive side. And all of these marches, while they might secure their own Desert Altar, are they doing anything to aggress against HKL? Not really, at least not yet.
Yeah, I'm noticing something, Gecko, and it's that NcB's looking very defensive right now. So they know that HKL is hyper aggressive. And I think their play here is to try and be ultra defensive, try and make sure they can at least keep their side of the map strong. And if honestly they take one structure away from HKL through the entire match and keep their own and make sure that either nobody captures the Ark of Osiris or only they do, they win. That's honestly the point of the game, is to have more points than your opponent. That's one way you can do it. I'm interested to see how this defensive posture can hold up against the onslaught of HKL. I did notice, Gecko, over in the outpost areas for NcB, there was one player with a full T1 Cav march led by Double C, trying to go and snipe some of those outposts. But again, being ultra defensive, NcB has players inside those outposts and around the outposts. They're not letting them take a single thing.
So it looks like both altars taken by NcB properly, like it should be. This is a great start to what should be a very interesting match ahead of us. The big problem here is, again, look at the Shrine of Life being taken by blue. So being ultra defensive is great, but unless you really commit fully entirely to it, look at this. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 marches nearby, and yet HKL still did take the building first. The one thing I don't like about the ultra defensive move is that if you do it, you're at the mercy of lag. Essentially, whoever manages to get into the building first wins. And yes, you can have a huge presence, but luckily for the folks in red, they managed to get their buildings first. A blue march coming in there could have been heck of a trouble. Thankfully for the Shrine of Life, it was only one march. They got rid of it really quickly, and that's that. Divine Aid being casted, and folks are about to port in. NcB, though, grabbing an outpost away from HKL shows, again, exactly what you mentioned. All they need to do is hyper-aggress and try to snipe buildings here and there, and that's how they win the game. Look at that, a second outpost. 2 marches out here with Cavs just wandering around trying to get these outposts away from HKL. So far, so good. Slight lead for the folks in red.
You got it, Gecko. And on top of that, that same player who's sniping those outposts is also the same player who is doing the provisioning in the back for NcB. So he has 2 jobs, each of which he can really kind of focus on for a certain amount of time during this match. So he can be very effective and not have to worry about being on too many screens at once, fighting and positioning and garrisoning troops and setting rallies. He doesn't have to do any of that. He's provisioner, and he's taking those outpost guy. That's his whole job. And he's doing a pretty good job of it. He's got 2 out of the 3 right now. It looks like he's working his way over to the 3rd. With that being said, the map is starting to even up from a main structure standpoint. One thing I will say about HKL's hyper-aggressive posture and NcB's hyper-defensive posture, look at all the swarming that's happening on these Attila rallies. This could be a little bit of a problem for NcB. Swarming Attila rallies, while it can happen, obviously you're looking at it right now on the screen right there, it's devastating to your open field marches. The counterattack and normal attack that army does, that rally does, is devastating to an army. They're going to have to refresh immediately and come back out. And with HKL being so aggressive and so quick to re-rally after a rally fails, it's going to be a matter of, can you get your troops refreshed and back quickly enough before that next rally hits? These 1-minute rallies in Arc Gecko are really working to HKL's advantage.
I definitely agree. They're not only working in HKL's favor, as the folks in the chat are seeing, in the cast are seeing a little bit of stuff moving on the screen. There is a limit on how many marches can hit a march. There's a limit on how many marches can hit a building, right? The building's about to go down. 15 seconds, 8 seconds. Can NcB hold on to this for 8 more seconds for first occupation? Or is HKL going to yoink this away? 2 seconds, 1 last second. Oh, this is so close. Okay, there's first occupation. So NcB managed to survive the first onslaught. But look at this. The huge presence on the open field means nothing because there's a limit on how many people can hit a build. Look at this. The building switches hands. Look at how many marches are here and the building still switched hands. It's not because these guys are noobs. They're not noobs. They just don't have, they have more marches that can hit a building or a march. There is a limit on how many marches can hit a march and how many marches can hit a building. 10 marches. After that, you're toast. So all of this open field presence is really insignificant because only 10 marches can hit that rally. Only 10 marches can now swarm this building. This exchange of hands, while the first occupation bonus did go in favor of NcB, look at the map. It's all blue. 4 altars are blue. The hyper aggression is failing. Now you got a swarm, a Teltakeda, desert altars and shrine and sky altars. And your hyper aggression is turning against you because it's too hyper. It's not precise. The precision was 10 marches, 10 correct marches that are meant to swarm the rally, and that's it. 10 correct marches that are meant to swarm the altar. That's it. Maybe 2 more for backup to occasionally swap between marches. But at this point, look, half of these marches left the desert altar altogether because they have no business being there, really. And what do you do from there?
Oh man, I'm not sure. I mean, you've got four altars that are currently blue. 2 are blinking, but honestly, I mean, that Attila will go down, I think. But again, the loss of points, right? The loss of points that NcB just received from HKL is going to be a critical point throughout this match. They're going to continue to do this. They look like they, again, overcommitted. They overcommitted to that altar. They, like you said, 10 marches tops can hit a rally. The only other reason there should be any other marches around that altar is to reinforce. And whether they just were slow to reinforce because they just didn't have the wherewithal to get it done, or whether they were already doing things in other parts of the map, that's the problem. And that's the beauty of this type of matchup. There's so many things going on throughout the entire map. This map is not small, guys. If you're doing 2 things in 2 different locations on the map, you will not be as effective. It's just plain and simple. You can be a great multitasker, but if you don't have the focus on one type of role inside of these matches, you're going to look just completely lost because the other opponent that is doing that is going to be more focused, more able to do exactly what needs to be done in the heat of the moment, which is what you're seeing from HKL. Even losing the rally that you're looking at on that Shrine of War, they've got the armies around there to maybe take it. And it looks like it is going to possibly go in favor of HKL, although there is some ninja reinforcements coming from NcB. Well done to NcB so far. It's still under attack. Double Edwards hitting it. This is going to be interesting to see if they can keep that with just over a minute left before this arc spawns in the middle. This would be a critical blow by HKL on NcB if they are able to take this. It looks like NcB may have just enough to go ahead and take these swarms down after that rally. Although, man, that was right up against it. Very, very good job by NcB, it looks like, to go ahead and defend that Shrine of War. So they have those buffs when they go into the middle and start to face them in the open field to grab that Ark of Osiris.
I want to show you really quickly a difference between an altar of HKL and an obelisk of HKL and an obelisk of NcB. NcB have been refilling this again and again. You can really see Voruja right there taking his march out and putting another one in. They're trying to hold on for dear life for this obelisk. Look at the HKL obelisk. This thing is chilling. The marches are here. The commanders are correct. Tyler is just getting chewed down slowly and steadily. And they move on to the next thing, which is the middle. The middle has about 16 seconds before the arc pops. And the madness happening here is already here. NcB did push with marches forward when they were defending that Shrine of War. They managed to secure it and started pushing forward early. I think that Shrine of War was the first time I actually saw HKL being denied because HKL seemed to be late to the arc. They have a few marches coming in now, but I believe that what they were intending to do was to do what they always do, which is get the rally to take the building, you take the building, and then you take these open field marches to the middle from the back of NcB, and that's that. This time around, NcB denied them this play, and as a result, what I'm seeing is a lot of red. There are a lot of blues coming in too, and the arc actually belongs to the blue team too. But there's so much presence by NcB here that carrying this arc is going to be really, really tough. And while all this is going on, Dragothian, 2 blue altars are blinking. Great job by NcB, but that defense is as solid as it can get. Although the sky altar that's supposed to be red might flip to the red team, but I mean, that's where it needs to be. On top of all that, buildings blinking everywhere will go back to the middle. Blue team, 740 points per minute, while red team with 360 for every second this arc takes to get to wherever it needs to get. The folks of HKL are enjoying an increase of their lead, which is now at 6,700 points against the 3,900 of NcB.
Yeah, and looking at the bottom at the Shrine of Life, that just got taken away from NcB, and they're trying to swarm it down. They don't have the troops there because where are they at? They're in the middle where the camera's at. That's where they've been for a while. HKL has been known to come in at the very last second into the middle, and the fact that they already have the arc is kind of surprising. NcB committed a lot earlier to the middle than HKL did and still didn't get that arc heading in their direction. This is going to be a little bit of a harsh blow for NcB if HKL is able to go ahead and return this back to their outpost or back to their Shrine of War. This is going to be interesting. I think that ultimately you're looking at the map. It's still 3 altars in favor of HKL. They're doing a great job aggressing against NcB and holding those buildings, not just taking, but holding those buildings. And because it's so much of a forward presence by HKL, NcB just doesn't have the capability to not only try and get this arc back, but also aggress themselves. They can't rally while simultaneously also still defending the Shrine of War, which also has another rally on it. You've also got inside the middle plenty of HKL armies here to wipe up NcB after they've been in the middle and fighting for so long. These are fresh marches coming in from HKL. So this is going to be a little bit of a hurting kind of time for them. They're going to be losing not only those point per minute battle that you just described, but when they capture this arc, that's going to be a pretty significant delta for them to overcome.
It's truly crazy to see how the colors changed right in front of our eyes, ladies and gentlemen. You guys saw it firsthand. We were in the middle. It was tons of red. And then something happened that we're going to talk about in a moment. And all of a sudden, arc starts going towards the blue side. And then things become more and more blue. And now they're at the point where even Penigma doing everything he can, dropping that bog down to slow down this arc. The presence coming in from HKL, I mean, heck, they have people standing still around for crying out loud. Like, they are protecting the perimeter kind of thing. It's like they got guards and stuff. They're like, yo, 2 more marches just passed by, just so you know. The thing that happened here that you mentioned, and you hit the nail on the head with it, and it's something that I mentioned too when it comes to first occupation, is there is a small, very slight random factor of who gets the first click. It's nothing within your power and nothing within your opposition's power. You just hope and pray. Who drops the arc first? Which side gets it? HKL, I would say, got lucky because it is a factor of luck. You can't predict when your opposition will click. You can't predict what kind of a small latency you have between the server and yourself. Someone's going to get the arc first. For NcB, the biggest problem was that it was HKL. And when that happened, that's 30 seconds worth of a march in their favor, and that's how they managed to completely snowball this. If NcB dropped the arc in their side, I have no doubt in my mind we would have seen the exact opposite result here. And quite frankly, there's nothing that can be done about it, right? It's part of the game. It's part of being of how the world works. And this, in my opinion, is how this snowball started. Of course, there's tons of strategy and well-played execution by HKL to bring this home. But all of this is on top of the fact that they managed to get the arc first and now secure it.
Yeah, now the 7,000 point difference is HKL winning with also a points per minute advantage, 740 to 360. It's looking very dire for NcB. They need to go ahead and start getting aggressive. They need to do some wild plays right off the bat. We're only 15 minutes into the match after it opened, and it's already looking very heavily in favor of HKL, and that's probably why we saw a lot of those hashtag HKL responses whenever we asked who we thought were going to win. NcB's good, but HKL, man, they're just putting on a clinic for anybody who wants to do really well in Ark of Osiris in general. 4 altars in favor of the blue team, 2 are blinking, but it looks like it doesn't matter. Like, even if they're blinking, even if they're if they're under assault, they shouldn't have 4 buildings. If 2 are blinking, that means they're always going to have their other 2. And if they can keep those other 2 that are blinking for a little bit longer, or just deny their opponent those points per minute with one of those altars dropping there just shortly ago, what's to be done? What's to be done? Because NcB has to rally these back. They have to get those point-generating altars back. Those are critical to win. You have to have your altars for a good portion of the game, if not the whole game, to have a chance to win. You can't let the opponent take all of your biggest point-generating buildings and lose the arc and expect to win. It's just not how this game is played. HKL doing a very good job switching between Swarm and Rally, combination of both, being aggressive on the other side. Very, very hard to combat. And NcB is getting a full dose of it right now with having, again, only one of their altars, which is also under attack by HKL, even though they just took it back from HKL a second ago with a rally passing by it only moments ago.
This is, Dragothian, did you know that if you own the 4 altars and they're ticking for points for you, you pretty much win the match? No, doesn't matter if you take the arc or not, doesn't matter if you provision or not. At 4 altars, you're ticking for 600 points per minute, which is more than half of the points as is. The total points is 1,180 points on the map. On top of that, you have your half of the map. Therefore, you're taking not only 600 points, take 300 away from your half, and then add another 290. I know the math went crazy right there, chat. Don't worry. We'll give you the spoil. The bottom line, 890 points per minute is what you'll get, having your side of the map plus 2 altars. At that stage, who cares about an arc? In 5 minutes, that arc, the 4,000 arc is obsolete. In 4 minutes, the 3,500 point arc is obsolete. In 4 minutes, the 3,000 point arc is obsolete. And you have 60 minutes. You know what? Let's play the game of you have 40 minutes. You still give the rest, the side of the losing side per se, all the arcs, all the everything. If you're holding for 40 long minutes, they're going to take away about 25 minutes of those, and then 15 minutes worth of points is what you'll win with, which is over 10,000 points. For HKL, if they hold on to these altars, I don't see a reason that they need to do anything else.
I mean, I agree. I mean, all those points generating in your favor. I don't think I've seen NcB with a points per minute advantage this entire match. And also simultaneously, HKL is holding the center strong whenever they have to go in there, doing it when they need to, how they need to. This is going to be one of those things where you just have to kind of watch in awe as HKL continues to dominate the map. 4 altars, again, in their favor, a couple blinking, but again, who cares? They've got 4 altars. That means NcB has no altars generating for them, even if HKL hasn't captured all of them yet. They're not generating points for anyone, and that means that those points are only going to be beneficial more for HKL than NcB. So as we continue to look across the map, I see all these structures under assault. HKL is defending their Shrine of War, and like you said, once they do it right, once they get the defense to the point where they know it's going to win, and they don't see any kind of reinforcements coming from NcB, they just leave. They move on. They know that the building is defensed at that point, and they go ahead and move on to go somewhere else. That's how they always seem to have more troops than you everywhere else across the map, because you're focusing on getting this one thing, and you put all that time and energy into making that rally, getting the reinforcements together, getting more open field armies in support of that rally. And then once the tide has turned to the defender for HKL, they're like, okay, we're good. No more coming. This particular setup can hold anything else you got coming in this direction. We're going to move on and go do something else. That's a big key of their success. They know when to move on and not just sit there and say, oh, I've got a full army. This guy's only got a third of an army. I want to get these guys dead. I'm going to kill these guys. I'm going to stay right here. They don't have to do that. They move on. They go and take another objective instead, and then again win. That's all they've known how to do for the past couple months is win in Ark of Osiris.
Definitely, and I'll tell you this. We're looking at the Shrine of Life, and for the longest time, the rally in the Shrine of Life was getting completely destroyed by this Artemisia. For a little bit, Toino was just standing here and just waiting for something to come. He is taking care of the swarmers nearby. Did Artemisia just leave the building?
I think so. He gone.
Hello? Anyway, we're not chatting.
We want to go back here.
Avert your eyes. You guys did not see that happen at all. But Artemisia was winning this for the longest time. The fact that there's a Saladin in here tells me that this is not a full archer. building, and that's essentially when things started going really bad. Artemisia requires a full archer defense. As someone who defends with Artemisia in Osiris Invitational, I can tell you, so long as you have a full archer building and you have folks helping you get rid of some of the swarms, you're pretty much good to go. We've gotten to a point where we're like, guys, keep going, bail out. This rally is gonna go.
Wow.
I mean, HK will take the building regardless, but it's the slight mistakes. It's the cavalry in an archer building. It's all of these little things. For NcB, they had a moment here where they could have said, okay, time to go do something else with these open field marches. But because of a slight mistake of putting cavalries in there, it completely destroyed Artemisia. There's a march in there that's completely pointless. That's actually it's hindering the defense. And now what do? It's just the big problem, Dragothian, in here is, quite frankly, it's just a snowball effect. When it rains, it pours, right? These guys are getting frustrated, are getting annoyed, are getting a little bit upset at the fact that, they shouldn't be getting run over this badly. They're a much better team than this. What is this? And then the nerves start hitting, and then the yelling in the Discord call start, and the mistakes happen, and the nerves hit, and it's just a snowball effect, and you can literally see it on NcB. They're a much better team than we're seeing here, but the things that are happening before are causing more and more and more mistakes, and it's just terrible. And there's no way to stop it, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, and that's what we were talking about at the very beginning of the match, right? Who's going to be the first one to write the book on how to handle HKL? Obviously, this isn't it. And again, it's not their fault. It's just HKL is that good. I mean, HKL is that good. And when we saw that Artemisia leave earlier, right, I know exactly what that was. And I actually said something about it earlier. When you're doing too many things on the map, mistakes happen. When you're multitasking on too many different places on this map, things happen that you don't want to happen. One of which is you hit attack all with all of your armies, and you've got 4 armies on the field to attack somebody and 1 garrisoning. Well, guess what? That garrison's going to come with you if you don't unselect it. So what happened was that player hit attack all, I want to swarm this guy, and his garrison came with him. So that's probably exactly what happened, and he realized it, and he's like, oh, crap. Then he puts it back in, and now the garrison's at a disadvantage because they've lost all that benefit from Artemisia being a garrison in Osiris League, and it's done. It's over. And when we're looking at the middle here, it's more scrums, tons of HKL here in the middle, trying to basically put the nail in the coffin with over 30 minutes left. I mean, if they capture another arc with the points per minute advantage that they have enjoyed this entire matchup, I just don't know what else NcB can do. I always look for, okay, well, here's what you do. We can do this a little bit different. We can make things happen over here. No, that's not a thing right now, especially against HKL, because they're all over the map. Because like we talked about earlier, they're effective. They're efficient where they are. Once things are done, they move on, and they're in the place they need to be before their opponent are.
Oh, yeah, and it gets so much worse than that, Dragothian, because when you get to this point, with 31 minutes remaining, quite frankly, there's a lot of time remaining, man. There's a lot of time remaining. There's plenty of time for you to allow yourself to grab one arc potentially, maybe even 2, 30 minutes remaining. There's plenty of time for 2 of them as well. If you can grab the middle point, 590 points per minute for both sides, and you can start trying to get yourself a little bit ahead, that's how you mount the comeback. But the first step out of everything we said is not we haven't even touched the first step, Dragothian. You know what it is? A shift in your mind. You need to breathe, you need to stop, you need to reset, and you need to go. Before you do anything from what we mentioned, you have to be able to mentally reset. That's how you find the best athletes in the world. When the best football player or soccer player or baseball player gets struck out, they drop, they fumble, they hit the post, that thing is just as demoralizing as what you're seeing here. But the reason they are such god-level athletes is that they shake it off and move on and restart. And this is something in competitive gaming that also happens. You have to be able to shake off the last round because there's a new round today and the match hasn't ended. We're all Rise of Kingdoms players, right? We're not professional athletes. We're not esports competitors. And so it is really tough to get over that mental block. And believe me when I tell you guys, the one tip I can give you out of this match is you have to try to be able to work your brain as to how to reset. How when you're tilting, to breathe, reset, calm down, figure out how you can get out of the tilt, or else you're in a big problem. And that's not only in Rise of Kingdoms, by the way.
Little life lesson there. So
Yes, sir.
again, like to me, you said that was kind of the beginning. To me, that's the next level. So whenever we're looking at these strategies on the battlefield, and HKL obviously has a very successful one, and I think they're doing a lot of what you just described, right? But I think that's the difference between somebody who has, like, if they both have the same strategies, that's the difference between the winner and the loser, not necessarily the foundation of the winner or the loser. So I think that once you get comfortable with your plan, you've been fighting with your buddies for a year, for 6 months, for 3 months even. It doesn't matter the length, as long as at the end of the day you understand and anticipate what your teammates are going to be doing, and you can trust that they're going to be doing what they're supposed to be doing, where they're supposed to be doing it, how it needs to be done. Then you're going to start seeing stuff like what HKL is putting on the table right now in front of us, which is like clockwork, everything popping at the same time simultaneously, everything getting defensed at the same time, while also having presence in the middle, while also not having to defend certain structures, because they know they've created the front on the front line of their enemy versus needing to make a defensive front on their own side, with that Shrine of Life being a perfect example, right? There's plenty of marches around there from NcB to be able to defend this rally, but I'm interested to see, is HKL actually going to still take this? I mean, there's still people just standing around right there at the top right. There's going to be reinforcements. There's going to be more swarm. There should have been enough there from NcB, but now you see from the top NcB coming in to try and help defense this again. But isn't it a little too late now? Now the entire building is surrounded by blue. Now you're at a disadvantage. You have to fight your way through armies in the open field, even if it's led by Belisarius, to go ahead and try and take that Shrine of Life back now that it is in blue hands.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I don't know what to say beyond here, but I really want to point out a couple of things that we are seeing in the chat. You guys know, you guys can talk to us. We're keeping an eye on it and trying to answer your questions. Usually in the beginning of the cast, we're more focused on the match and on bringing you the action. But quite frankly, as you guys have noticed, this match is slowly and steadily going downhill, and the hill is getting much steeper, much quicker. So to answer a couple of questions from chat really quickly, VIP makes a difference and all NcB are tier 5 tech. Alex, the only difference is indeed VIP. In terms of alliance technology, individual technology, shrine technology, and all that, and buffs and all that, everybody is on an equal footing, but VIP does indeed matter in Osiris Invitational. I don't know if this means that NcB don't have everyone at VIP 17 or not, but that is a difference indeed. And as Karek has mentioned, every player has 2 million of each tier 5 type. 2 million infantry, 2 million archers, 2 million cavalry, and 2 million siege, as well as 500,000 tier 1 calves for the nuisance stuff. If you guys have questions, comments, anything along the way, don't shy away from asking in the chat. I don't think City Skin is part of the game here at GJ Gaming, but that's a good question that we'll ask and find out for you guys.
Yeah, we'll need to confirm that, because I was just reading that and thinking that's a pretty good question that I haven't seen answered fully yet. So definitely looking into that to confirm. And then, I mean, HKL is doing such a good job. People are asking them to be nerfed by only being able to use epic commanders. I mean, this is the gold standard. I mean, when you're looking at how to do a plan for how to be successful in Arc, right? It starts here, and you need to start to dissect, what are they doing right? What are they missing, possibly? Which, again, I mean, they've done nothing but win, so maybe they're not missing anything. Maybe they are, and it's just really hard to see because they're so successful. NcB's doing everything they can, and they look to be doing, for the most part, what should be enough to at least be in the conversation, right? They should be there. They should be in that running to be able to possibly win if they grab an Arc at the very end and make sure they have their buildings. But look at the map. It's almost all blue. It was all blue just a second ago with just losing that Shrine of Life at the bottom there. Red only had their 2 obelisks and 3 outposts for quite a while. That's why they only have 130 points per minute in their favor. So, I mean, I'm looking to see HKL, how they take this. I don't think, honestly, that they know how to turn off the gas. Like, I don't think they know how to stop. So, like, even right now, right, they're almost 20,000 points in the lead with another Arc spawning in just under 4 minutes. Do you think they're going to not go for the Arc? I don't think so. They're going to go in there and grab it again, just like they have pretty much at will. NcB's trying their best. And again, against lesser opponents, NcB probably would have been at least in the running, if not winning. The stuff they're doing is normal textbook stuff. But HKL has that different gear and that different level that basically anybody they've faced thus far in the past few months in this Osiris program, it's just not enough.
So Dragothian, apparently when I say VIP buff makes a difference is not good enough. Someone's asking, Drago, do you think VIP makes a difference in this match? Would you like to answer that?
Well, from what I understand, and again, this is what we were told, yes, it does make a difference. So I will back my boy Gecko up here and say yes.
It's crazy, right? Almost like we ask the same people the same questions and get
Yeah.
the same answers.
It's all good.
But yeah, no, not a problem. It's like we can add a little bit of humor while we're at it in here because, quite frankly, if we're looking at the HKL side, they're like, well, we just hit 6th gear. Now we're just gonna leave the gear here, put a brick on the gas pedal and just fall asleep, and we'll come back when we hit the wall or something like that, and then that means that we're done. I don't think they really even are employing anything beyond just rinse and repeat at this stage, right? But I want to point out one thing, which we go back into the world of sports or esports for a moment. Do you actually think that as professional athletes spend all day their time on the field? Their practice is always on the field or at the gym? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, most professional athletes will tell you that they spend an equal amount of time working on their strength and mechanics as well as watching the opposition. Tape sessions are a huge thing in sports, and it's how you learn and improve and get better. If you watch yourself play, if you watch and your opposition play, that's how you improve. You don't only improve by being at the gym, by doing batting practice again and again, or catching a million footballs. You need to figure out what you did wrong, and you need to figure out what someone else did better, and the only way you do that is by sitting on your butt and looking at the TV. HKL said, we watched our opposition. We learned from our opposition. We built our strategy, and they told me this. The leadership of HKL in an interview with me, they literally told me we started by imitating other teams and kept watching them as things went by and improved our strategy based on what they did. You can't make a strategy by just, let me try this. If you actually want to get to the top tier like HKL did, it's not only time in game, but it's also time off game, watching these casts, watching all of these things. It's why we do this. We leave the VODs available for you guys to continually watch, learn, improve, and try again and again and again. And as long as you keep watching your own matches, you keep watching the VODs available on my channel, Chisco's channel, Dragothian's channel, a couple of other content creators do this as well. Rise of Kingdoms channel has a ton of VODs. Watch the big teams, learn. Trust me, you'll get much better by just watching one match a week.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, there's a huge value to not only studying your opponent, but just studying players that play the same thing you do at a higher level. And that's what we try and bring to you on the channels that we've got, and certainly here on Rise of Kingdoms channel. This is the premier place for you to see the highest level contents that are out there. Now, some questions that were in the chat about rules and buffs and things like that. Alliance and personal tech does not apply here, does not apply in Osiris Invitational. They are trying to make this as even as possible to go ahead and make sure that everybody has the same type of things. And truly, it's about the strategy. It's about the ability for you to overtake your opponent and really just put your presence on the field. And right now you see NcB putting their presence on the field in the middle, needing this Ark of Osiris in the worst way just to make sure they can get 5 digits on the board for their side. This is going to be something they're going to be pushing hard for. You can tell, look, the amount of presence in the field is significant, and HKL has made their name in letting this happen and coming in about 30 seconds to a minute later and just acting like they weren't even there, grabbing the Ark, and just like you see right now, they're already taking it back, even though the field looks like it's a sea of red. Blue team with HKL is going strong, making things happen.
And as you say that, our
like
game decides to crash because it really didn't want to show this happen again. I was waiting for you to finish your thought because my next thing was going to be like, Dragothian, look at this. NcB taking the lead in the points per minute. They had 3 altars for a couple of moments. They are in the points per minute lead right now. We're about to get there in a second. But look at that. The crazy Red Sea. It looks like at the last 20 minutes, NcB decided to come alive. Or is it because the folks of HKL maybe took their foot off the gas a little bit? One of the two things happened there. But as I started thinking about it, all of a sudden, bam, HKL pick up the Ark. Bam, They start moving it. Skill is casted. Freaking arc moving in their way. They show up out of nowhere. They're moving the arc. Boom, the game crashes. You know why? Because it didn't want to show it. It's like, I cannot believe how they again and again capture that arc early on, move it to their side. It caused such a big problem for the folks of NcB to get themselves. Look at the distance they now need to march just to get back to the Ark of Osiris itself, the Ark of Osiris temple. Ay, Dragothian, this is looking tough.
It's always tough. You're going up against, in any of these matches, right? These are the premier alliances, cream of the crop of this game. And when we're looking at what we're seeing on the battlefield now, again, even though there's a lot of red there, those red marches are looking a little rough because they've been fighting for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about with the blue team here. We've got HKL slowly getting their armies collected together and starting to call out these armies. And another thing that I think is really something to think about on what HKL is doing to be successful here, not letting HKL's armies swarm low targets. Like you see that Attila with barely a sliver of health. You see that Saladin for NcB with barely a sliver of health. Don't kill them. Let them go ahead and try and still attack. They're there with no damage coming out. And you're only making it longer for them to go ahead and bring reinforcements in because that army is now effectively not doing anything for the opponent. So if you can go ahead and get all those yellow marches down to low red, that means even if they have more people on the battlefield, you've got more higher level marches that have more health, more troops available. You're going to be able to push your weight around at will. And that's why they have the arc right now, or at least they did for just a second before they dropped it. But NcB is starting to run out of troops. They're starting to run out of armies with enough troops in them to go ahead and try and get this arc back. And that's consistently been what HKL's done time and time again.
It's kind of crazy, right? It's that micro optimization that we keep talking about that requires of you to be able to be at that next level type of play. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the cast, you're about to see a little bit of darkness as it's a little bit too laggy for my comfort. I want you guys to enjoy the show. So very quickly, we're going to swap to the secondary camera.
Uh-oh.
Bam, coming back to you guys really quickly with a secondary camera in hopes and praise that it's a little more nice and smooth, of course. It instantly detects the madness and simplifies our graphics. But now it's looking nice and crisp for you guys. We don't want you guys to watch with lag. We want you guys to have the best experience available as you watch HKL once more. Stroll around with an arc, chilling, doing their thing. The red masses became blue again. The red masses once more just disappeared and frowny-faced home, while NcB are frowny-facing home. Comfortable arc carry by the folks of HKL who took the points per minute lead again. We can give a shout out to NcB for hitting 5 digits, which is a good thing. They're only 1/3 of the points away from being able to win this match. 31,000 points in the favor of HKL compared to the 11,400 points by NcB. I honestly, and I'm going to tell you this right now, I don't discount NcB at all for this. I think that nobody has able to crack, as you said, nobody's able to crack HKL yet. And anyone who loses to HKL, as far as I'm concerned, gets a pass. Gets a complete and utter pass because this is ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous.
I mean, when we came back in, right, and we saw, like you said, HKL just strolling down with the arc. That's something we've seen 3 times already in this matchup. This is the 3rd arc that's being delivered with 1 more left to go, and I don't think that there'd be any reason why they won't be able to do it again. At least the points per minute is somewhat close now with only a 200 point per minute disadvantage for NcB. But again, as you can see, the altars are still mostly blue. And that's basically been the story of the match as well. It's 3 or 4 in favor of HKL, and HKL has been enjoying that points per minute total pretty much the entire match and also capturing the arcs. That's basically a victory right there. So when HKL is starting to try and do some next level things, it goes down to the basics of have all the altars and capture all the arcs. That's pretty much a winning strategy. And something I've noticed, so I've been trying to peek around as we've kind of wound down the excitement of it's close, it's coming together. What's happening? What's going to happen next? That's over, right? We're at a 20,000 point difference, right? So I've been looking around at the map, Gecko, and I've been trying to see some different things that I haven't noticed before or I haven't seen before. And something that I've really noticed that HKL does, and I don't know if it's particularly something that they've planned on or something that is part of their major strategy. But I've noticed they use rallies for movement. It's not just to take buildings or just to, have presence here or presence there. They use these rallies as fast marches. So not just at the beginning of the game, right, where you're rallying all 4 obelisks and you're trying to get position troops on the map and try and ninja capture that Shrine of War or that Sky Altar or that Desert Altar. It's about trying to make sure that you have the maximum mobility on the field. As you're looking at this Attila Takeda rally, right, this is way faster than any normal single troop army can do. Even full cav with T1, this is faster, okay? So if you've got people dedicated just to moving troops around with rallies, you can be everywhere on the map, but it takes a lot of precision and a lot of coordination to make something like that happen. I've noticed that when they've got a battle in the middle or when they've got a battle at a Shrine of War, instead of slowly marching up single marches, they're using rallies to bring reinforcements. That's easier, and you can rally an enemy city, get a maximum amount of troops inside of that rally, and break it by the structure. It's very simple. It's just hard to pull off.
Oh, yeah. And the thing that you mentioned there that is, in my opinion, the most important out of everything you said is you can rally an opposition city. You don't have to wait for a building. If you are at the bottom side and you need to cross your way to the Shrine of War, you don't have to figure out how to do it. You can go hit a rally on the opposite side, on the top obelisk of the opposite side, and you're going to cross the map and you're there. I didn't notice this. It's a great point that you bring up, and I'm pretty confident I'm going to go talk about this with JWM later on, but it's a very, very interesting point. It's one of those things where people think rallies are only for offense, but turns out, there are many mechanics in this game that can be used in a very creative way to get alternate results on things that are not necessarily as they're meant to be. Rallies for movement, rallies are made for offense. I mean, heck, archers defending cavalry, that works a little bit too. Turns out that's not how it's supposed to be, but hey, 10 out of 10 on that Attila Takeda. You guys know I love Attila Takeda, and shout out to the haters that keep saying that I'm going to cause Attila Takeda to be nerfed and they're the best commanders and they shouldn't be nerfed because you guys are just mad because you have them. But anyway, the point here is, quite honestly, I don't know what NcB could have done differently. I don't know what HKL has done differently. All I see is aggression, and aggression everywhere, and people placing themselves in the right place at the right time. What I am noticing, though, is that there are folks who are dedicated for specific things, and they do bring 5 marches to that specific particular task. I've seen more than one strategy where it's like, okay, player A, player B, player C, and player D, you guys are in charge of the open field attack on a Shrine of War. But you're also in charge of the open field attack here, and you're also in charge of gathering, and you're also in charge if we need you in the middle. Hello? Like, what? How do you manage all of this? I'll tell you that.
It's way too much.
It's more than too much, man. It's like, I can tell you that in the last match, we did a practice match between JWM and JWM2. We keep doing them for Osiris Invitational, and we tried a new strategy. My role was to be the captain of the shrine, the altar, the Sky Altar. I was also supposed to reinforce the Shrine of War. I was also supposed to potentially help in the middle and gather. I was like, what? Where's my march? How am I doing? At some point, I'm like, I can't. It's too much. It's way too much. So 5 marches doing the one thing is what HKL have been doing. Look, Hero is here. Paranoia is here. Some Chinese name I can't read is here. I apologize. I can't read your name. Dianic is here. And they're the people in here. They are the people in here, with the exception of 1 or 2 extra marches that I'm assuming are here to refill the rally. Everybody else is like 4 marches, 5 marches, the same people doing the same tasks.
Yeah, and even in the Ark of Osiris plans that I put together for the alliances I'm in, it's all about simplicity. The simpler you can make it, the simpler the task, the simpler the role. Just like you said, you do better. You do better when you have 1, maybe 2 tasks. But that second task needs to be tertiary to that first task and right beside it. Like, you can't be in 2 places at once. Everybody's not a computer, at least not most people. HKL is looking like they're all computers, but they're not. They're people. They're doing what they're supposed to do because they've been given a simple task. You have this to do. This is what you need to do the best that you can do it. You've been doing this for months. You know exactly what to expect. And we're going to be in an advantage because we have that simplicity. We have that focused task that you're going to be doing this one thing all the time. You're not expected to go to the middle. You're not expected to be harassing the behind lines to get the provisioners killed. You're not expected to garrison the buildings. You're not expected to do those mobility rallies that we just talked about. Your job is to make sure that this building is our color. That's it.
And so there are also a few other factors that this is something out of my personal experience in JWM2, which is communication, but not too little communication, but actually too much communication. One of the things that we tried to implement, we've talked about it, I believe, Dragothian, on season 1 of Osiris League, the potential of having a 31st player who is Overwatch, right? Who gives you a little bit of a better idea on what's going on the map. I can tell you that one of the struggles that I personally felt in Osiris League last season was that sometimes some folks, while communicating correct information, communicated too much. And for example, let's say someone who is defending the Shrine of War, okay? The person defending on the Shrine of War goes, Shrine of War, rally on the Shrine of War launched. I think it's an Attila Takeda. It's we need a little bit of that. And they start dialogue, they start monologuing, right? Rally launched. We are going to need some reinforcements. This rally is 2 minutes away. Is there anyone available to help? And at that point, you're starting to clutter. Everybody doing this, you start to clutter the communications, right? I think that the one thing that the teams can do to really improve their gameplay is literally come up with a vocabulary. Get each player a set of words, keywords that they need to remember on how to say things. Rally, Sky Altar, need reinforcements. Cavalry rally marching towards Sky Altar. Sky Altar about to go down, need reinforcements. Desert Altar, rally out. You know, like utilize simple words, quick words, and not monologues. Because I can tell you that I personally, and it's not a bad thing, my personal feeling in some of our matches was that some folks just talked, something that can be said in 4 or 5 words, you know?
Yeah, and that's something that the individual alliances need to work out. I think that, you know,
For sure.
the people that are doing that are probably the ones that are not in the Osiris Invitational, or at least not the ones expected to really perform well over an HKL, for instance. In HKL, maybe they're not doing that. So, you know, looking at the screen here, you've got HP Enigma with the rally there from NcB. You've got, you know, buildings, again, just being blue most of the time, just switch back to red a little bit there. But again, 210 points per minute, even if they're not blue, they're not generating points. And that's what has won HKL this match, generating more points than their opponent by having way more buildings for way more time, and then certainly capturing all of these Ark of Osiris's. And looking at the middle here, they're doing it again. There's a heavy presence of NcB in the middle on their side of the Ark. And then you have HKL pouring in with this Guan, into the middle.
Time out. That Guan left the Shrine of War. That Guan said, I don't think I'm supposed to be here, and dipped. What? What just happened?
Well, maybe they think they've got it. Look at the damage that Charles is doing to that Attila rally with the swarming army of Carlotta there from Saladin, and another one coming in. Looks like Charles and somebody as well. Carlotta also basically holding it down, just swapping an army, heavier reinforcement coming in. Now let's go ahead and topped off. And I mean, that's a perfect example of what we were talking about, having just enough people where you need it, how you need it, not focusing on the fact that there's an Attila rally hitting your structure right now. They have enough. They think they have enough to go ahead and hold that, and everybody's in the middle now. And now they have a field presence that NcB can't handle.
I am so happy we got to see this. This is a masterclass. This is precision. We're watching this in front of our faces happen. Like, these guys built one march that wasn't supposed to be in the building, left the building. It's like, all right, well, maybe I shouldn't have been here, and dipped. I think it left. I'm pretty sure it left. If it didn't, then it hit this caravan and then went on. I thought it came out of the Shrine of War. In the meantime, 2-3 other people replenished their troops in the building, hit a little bit on the open field, moved to the center. They knew they had a couple of seconds till they got to go to the center. They hit the rally a little bit, weakened it down. I could have sworn the Shrine of War is going to go down, but as you say, Dragothian, these guys have the minimum required to get the job done. And Styles Rally is about to go down. It is crazy. They replaced 2 marches in here super effectively. This one Guan is walking home. That might be a little bit of a mistake. But that's not terrible. He could have hit the rally and then died quicker and got home. It's enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
It's literally enough.
And yeah, and you're right. Probably should have hit the rally there to go ahead and get a quicker ride home and cause some damage. But again, maybe that's the micro optimization that HKL needs. But here comes a full army coming in to go ahead and reinforce that. That's done. Here's the battle in the middle. This is why they left. And maybe Guan used the Shrine of War to go ahead and get the replenishment of his expertise, which is to go ahead and get a march speed bonus like Hasty Departure does. And get another march speed bonus coming into the middle so you can get there faster too. That also might be a thing, or maybe they house them there just for that purpose. So when they leave, they're there quickly and with a purpose. So again, some other people that are talking in chat about Realm of Horus versus Realm of Anubis and it being unfair. This is why it's a separate event. This is why Realm of Horus and Realm of Anubis are against each other in the Osiris Invitational, whereas the Osiris League is separated so that that visibility of possibly being unfair because they're later kingdoms is gone. Now, something to keep in mind, guys, a lot of the alliances that are in this invitational and were heavy into the Osiris League Season 2 for Realm of Anubis, they are from the original kingdoms. A lot of them moved to those later kingdoms because they wanted to try something different. They wanted to go play with friends. NcB is one of them. They're not from 331. That's not where they started their alliance at. Same thing with FN. Same thing with a lot of these other alliances that are inside of the Realm of Anubis. So from a capability of commander standpoint and things like that, a lot of this stuff is the same. And in Osiris Invitational, it's even more the same because they set the table to have everything be equal. So that's why this works the way it does. This is all about strategy. Let's not take away the focus from that. HKL's strategy is winning against NcB's strategy. It has nothing to do with troops, has nothing to do with commanders. NcB has fought together for over a year. They've been together. It's not about cohesion. It's about strategy.
Younger versus older is not even a conversation when some of the bigger kingdoms in the younger kingdoms are built from migrators, like you mentioned, Dragothian. And I'd like to point out one more thing here. I was super happy that we got to see that small mistake by HKL, as well as to see the craziness of holding their Shrine of War, because it does show us that they're human, that there is a little bit of mistakes happening, that they're not this perfectly, insanely well-oiled machine. Granted, they are the best Ark of Osiris team in this game by far now, but it can give you guys a little bit of hope that there is a way to beat them and that they also struggle with a few of their own issues. As small as they might be, it's still a thing, and that's completely okay. And quite frankly, I'm really looking forward to see, as you mentioned, is if anyone will be able to figure out how to crack the HKL code. And when someone does, how will HKL react? In a lot of esports, for example, and I can use Counter-Strike as an example for this, you have eras where teams dominate an era where they're so dominant, they win tons of tournaments, they are the best teams, they're undefeated, nobody can take them out. And then once their book is opened up and the strategy is cracked and all that is done for, those teams crumble and they maintain themselves a good presence, but they're not a top insane team that's unbeatable anymore. I wonder how HKL will act when someone beats them for the first time, when there is a play that can be made that stops them. Will they be able to innovate once more, or is this a one-show pony? And quite frankly, even as a one-show pony, that's not meant as a disrespect at all, because even this one show is truly amazing.
Yeah, I mean, they won the Osiris Invitation or the Osiris League Season 2, and they're obviously putting on a clinic here in the Osiris Invitational. Maybe there's if there's a crack, it would be interesting to see how they recover. I think that's probably going to be one of the most watched matches for any major alliance trying to have aspirations to be the winner of the league and the Invitational. But with just a couple seconds left, this is basically a 27,000 point victory for HKL. HKL winning, Gecko. I think a lot of people saw this coming, which is why you saw all that hashtag HKL at the very beginning. We talked about it. We also thought that HKL was going to win just because of what you saw here, right? The execution was on point. The strategy was on point. It's not just about the strategy, right? It's about the execution. And HKL does all of those things with precision and flawlessness.
Yes, sir. And quite at this point, I'm very happy that I am in HKL's team rather than against them. Thank you very much. But with that being said, let's get some GGs in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get these GGs up in the air for both these teams. It was an amazing match. It was a great showing by HKL once more. NcB really didn't know how to handle this. Let's go take a look at the stats really quickly. Dragothian, do you see anything in these stats that catch your eyes?
I'm just looking at this. Obviously, the numbers are a lot bigger on the left side, buddy. NcB did do some more provisioning on the right, but only just enough to have something to go ahead and write home about and put a checkbox in the box there. Look at the kills, man. I mean, 57.8 million kills. Where does that come from, right? That comes from what we were talking about earlier. It's about having your troops where they need to be more than your opponent. Whenever you have more troops than your opponent does, and whenever those armies have double, triple, quadruple the amount of troops inside, you're going to get numbers like this where you're putting out almost 60 million kills in one match of Osiris. Tons of rallies, tons of open field victories to capture Ark of Osiris. It's pretty blatant to see how they won. Kills and holding their structures and taking their opponents. And of course, the Ark.
I mean, I had to mute my mic for a second because you go, well, the row on the left is definitely looking with bigger numbers. I just started, I busted out laughing. I was like, this is the best analysis I've heard in a while. The thing about this is I think you nailed it. There is nothing really more to say about these stats, maybe with the exception of the 1 million units healed by NcB. I'm guessing those are troll tier 1s. I don't really think they healed tier 5s, right? I'm honestly curious, as you said, for the day someone will beat HKL. I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think it's going to take the end of Osiris Invitational and then some time for folks to really reinvent themselves. And maybe when Osiris League Season 3 comes up, you never know. But hey, HKL, this team has done some amazing work. GG's to both teams. Dragothian, you have any final words for us?
My last thing I want to say, yes, I agree. The HKL is looking to be the favorite for, having Season 3 dominance, right, in Osiris League. I am looking forward to, personally, the 4th week of the Osiris Invitational when they go up against 411K. I think that's going to be the match to watch. It's both champions from both realms going up against each other. That's going to be very interesting to see if, again, strategy of the newer quote-unquote alliances in the later kingdoms is going to be able to affect how HKL is able to operate with such efficiency and precision on the battlefield. So that's what I'm looking forward to. This has been a fun match to watch, even though it was a little bit of a blowout. It was fun to see how it was a blowout. It was fun to talk with the chat about how this all went down and happened. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the next one here in just under an hour. Thank you, Gecko, for having me as well.
Dragothian, thank you very much, man. Good luck on your next cast. Let's head out to the outro for a final goodbye and then figure out where we go with this. One last thing, though, Dragothian, that I'm really, really hoping is that there's a little bit of a balance in the points for the realms, because the most frustrating thing is that HKL will be playing 411K in the 4th week. However, if things keep going the way they are, that 4th week will mean nothing in terms of the competition. And then, will either team even care to show up? Probably, but I would really like that to be like an actual competitive match where winning or losing matters, where it could not be the case. But anyway, Dragothian, thank you very much, man. Let's head back to a final goodbye, and then we see what we do after that. All right, with that being said, this concludes our cast for now. You guys have 55 minutes for you to go chill, get yourself something to drink, get something to eat, watch a TV show or something like that, because in 55 minutes, 411K will go up against JWM. It's going to be a crazy match, one of the most competitive matches we're going to get this week for sure. For now, I'm Gecko. Thank you guys very much for watching the stream. If you enjoyed the stream, make sure you drop a like on the stream, of course. And of course, come visit our channels down below, Dragothian Gaming and Gecko Gaming. You'll find our links below. If you have any feedback, comments, suggestions, anything for us, you can catch us on our channels, you can catch us on our Discords, all that good stuff. You know what to do down below. Hit the subscribe button on the Rise of Kingdoms channel as well. And we'll see you guys next time. Again, thank you for all your continuous support. Thank you for supporting us as content creators and the Osiris Invitational by chilling, watching with us. This is from us to you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. We'll see you sooner rather than later. Peace.